All right, we're ready to go. You ready to go, Marie? Okay. Yep.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with Planning Commission here on July 21st. Welcome. We've got Nan and Kenny excused and Heather possibly excused. So we're going to go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance, be led by Dwight, and then Heron will give us an invocation. Okay.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we begin this planning and zoning meeting, we're grateful to be members of this city, of this commission, and of this country, where we enjoy liberty and the rights granted by the Constitution of this United States. We're grateful for those who were able to organize and to build this country. Those who prepare the way for us, our pioneer heritage, which brings us to this valley. We're grateful for the privilege of being here and serving. We pray that thy spirit will be with us. We might accomplish the business which we have at hand. We might be able to be guided to those decisions which need to be made. These things we thank you for and pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Heron and Dwight. Can I get a motion to adopt our agenda tonight?
I will adopt the agenda tonight. This Heron Hoyt.
second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes from previous planning commission. I think we had April 14th that I looked through. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I would move we approve the April 14th, 2022 minutes for the North Logan Planning Commission.
Heron Hoyt seconds that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, follow up on issues from previous meeting. So what do you got?
Yeah, just one. The active transportation plan that was recommended by the Planning Commission last meeting was adopted by the City Council last night. So that one's formally adopted and through, and we'll start chipping away at those items on there.
Any changes recommended by the City Council other than?
Nope, no changes to it, just as it was presented to the Planning Commission.
Great.
Good.
Okay. Well, let's go into that's all. We'll go into commission business. The consideration of a development plan.
Okay, so I will go back to this. We saw this in concept plan not too long ago, but we will zoom back in and give a little refresher here. It's off of 400 East, about 2700 North, kind of kitty corner to our Meadowview Park Cache Recreation Complex. Right here, it's in the R112 zone. This is being subdivided into 6 lots and does not need to be rezoned. No rezone is proposed. It was approved in concept plan and now is coming back at development plan with a little more information to finalize things. One quick note on it, the name is going to be the Green Canyon Grove subdivision. So that'll be one small update once it's recorded. So I will jump into this plat to give a little more detailed view. Just as a reminder, this subdivision, with it being a narrow parcel, they're doing a private road through here to allow for a shorter road cross section to be able to not, because you don't have houses on the other side, so they don't have sidewalk or anything on that side. So this will be a private road throughout. They've got the approved turnaround here at the end, 6 lots there, which will match the subdivision to the north. They do have irrigation, secondary irrigation to each of these lots as well. And they did provide that plan right here, and I'll scroll to it. So really straightforward, simple system. There's currently a ditch flowing from right up here at this road, and they'll have a pump and connection points in the rear yard for each of those 6 lots. The one comment on this subdivision, staff did review it. It's very straightforward. We've worked with the applicant on several questions at the beginning of the process, but everything is lining up right. The stormwater calculations are correct, and everything is in order. The one thing we will want to see probably by city council, this is the one recommendation from staff, is just something written from these property owners here, agreeing to, if this is piped from here down to there, just something written that they signed off on that being piped. They might have an agreement to have some risers or connection points or something like that, but applicant has expressed that he's already talked with those landowners and he'll get something in writing by city council. So that would be the one recommendation from us. Other than that, it meets our code and as shown or as drawn. So
Is that secondary water? So they have shares. I'm assuming that land's got shares.
right.
And is there a right of way for that water to go through, or does it need permission from those landowners?
As far as I understand it, there's already an easement in
Okay,
place.
all right.
It's just if you're taking something from a ditch to a pipe,
Sure.
just getting that sign off,
Yep.
because it's changing slightly. And from what I understand, it won't be an issue. But if we get it in writing, then everybody's bases are covered. So
Is there a pipeline there already, a color, or not a colony, but a secondary water pipeline there that they're just going to hook onto?
it's a ditch right now, as far as I understand it.
There's 3 parcels to the east. There's Brad Robinson, Chad Allen, and then I don't remember the one on the hand.
May want to come to the microphone. Yeah,
So,
state your name.
yeah,
Oh, yes. Mhm.
So Austin and Jamie Davis, it's piped to the property line between them and Chad Dallin.
Okay.
So it would just be piped for the other 2.
Okay.
So
And there's an existing easement.
there is an open ditch
Oh,
down through there now.
okay.
That's where the waters come from.
And
in the past.
you'll be replacing the ditch. going underneath
That's
it, or-
something, they've got all those existing mature trees.
Yeah. That's what I
And so without damaging those, we've kind of gone back and forth about different ways to do it. So he doesn't want to trench it and kill trees, cutting off the root system. So I've talked to Circle B about what they would recommend. We could put it on top of the soil and just have to reinforce it every so often. So we're still kind of working on that, but
there's not a chance that you can't deliver secondary water down there, is there?
Well, I called the canal company also for the same reason. I'm like, okay, there's an existing canal. That's how waters got there in the past. She's like, they can't restrict that.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the water has got there. So the pipe is a change, but as far as she told me, and I asked her, she's supposed to be getting back to me as far as who would reinforce that with the canal company to get water down there. So that still needs figured out. But as far as I've been told, they can't restrict the water because that's the way it's gone in the past.
Mhm.
It's just changing it from a ditch to a pipe, and it's not much of a ditch. So, okay. But I've also, like Spencer said, I've talked to them. They'd be interested in being on a system as well, because as of now, it doesn't do them much good other than to flood irrigate a few feet off of that ditch. So it's kind of useless to them to have shares and not be able to use the water. So,
Do they have shares?
yeah, they're on acre lots. I believe when Brad Robinson developed that, he just kind of split those shares up. between all of
And
them.
so water's only delivered via open ditch? to
Yeah,
them now?
because it doesn't even, so to the north, it's supposed to carry through to Clark's on the other side of McBride's,
Mhm.
but there is no ditch or culvert or anything
Oh,
to
it's
get
been
water
put
over
in.
to them. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, they're on, I think, 2 acres or so. So
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
not sure.
If you go to a pipe, will it require a pump to get
On-
it?
Down lower, no, it will gravity flow from the canal up here. It flows down. There's corrugated pipe and several cleanouts from the head gate's about right here. Then it comes down, up, and then there's a box there, and then it comes down. So that gravity flows really well to that point.
Okay.
So to get the volume into the box that I have to put in shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
We'll just have to go an 8-inch pipe into that box, and then we should be good from there. As
But-
far as they told me.
It will be pumped into the lots you're proposing rather than just gravity flow. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. On the one Spencer drew, there's a box and a pump. It has all the specs and everything. Circle B kind of drew everything up and figured the amount of flow we would need
Okay.
for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thanks. So the name of that, there's a lane on there. Is that a full bona fide street without minus curb and sidewalk on the south side?
Yeah, so it has the width. It meets the minimum requirements there. Let me zoom in a little and we can catch that dimension just to show you. So it's got the 26 feet of pavement. So that includes asphalt and then the ribbon curb. They've got swales, which helps with their stormwater detention just side of that. So they'll be flat curb. But yeah, that'll meet what we need. It'll have sidewalk just on the one side because we don't need it on both in this case.
And as previously discussed, fire department, snow removal, all streets are all comfortable with the concept at this point in time.
Yeah, snow removal won't have to worry about it because this is a private lane. So I think there's going to be a small homeowners. I don't know if it's an HOA or if it's just something CCNR, something that they'll take care of the costs or snow removal itself. As far as the turnaround, yeah, that has sign off. It just has to be sure to be kept clear in the winters and nobody can park in there to obstruct it. We'll have that noted on the plat and a lot of times they have them signed as well, but
Was this the division that we had some issues about where would they put the snow in the winter? What?
I think we talked about it briefly. I think there's enough room on the sides here. They're leaving space between the property lines, not right up on the fences. There's a swale on this side as well. And then also you have space down here if they push all the way down, depending how much snow fell. They could push down and have a pile of that. So I think they have enough room. We did briefly talk about that though in concept.
So how about fire hydrants?
Yeah, we've got one right here. As far as distance goes, if this will work great. This meets our requirements on a 26-foot road, so it's totally fine. Even if they wanted to trim it back a little bit and save some money on pipe, and I don't know, engineering wise, distance wise, they could have it on the street and that would still
It'd
reach
still meet
this back corner. Yeah. So as is, yeah, it's perfectly fine. They could even move it closer to the road if you wanted, save some lengths of pipe.
Spencer, is there room for garbage pickup down there?
Yeah, garbage is one thing that didn't come up in our staff review, actually. And with this being a private lane, that's an interesting question. I don't know, Alan, as far as garbage goes, I'm assuming these are single family lots. They'd still have standard cans and the garbage truck would come in and use that turnaround. Is that right? Logan's been a bit iffy and also
not on
we're
a private
switching
lane.
too. So
Yeah,
Really?
It's really tough on private land. We got to discuss that at the very point. Probably need to just narrow that down and figure out exactly how we got to coordinate that with Logan. That's until the middle of July, and then obviously we want to.
middle of July next year, right?
But we'll have to figure out. What we require, how to take care of. Logan doesn't like.
We can work with you on that before city council and have something worked through. We can talk to them. That's a good note.
I don't know any other comments or concerns. I think that
I think the only one I have is about the garbage pickup, and I'd approve once we find out what that's going to work out.
Well, I think the risk there is that if they can't pick it up, they have to take it to the end of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, last we signed off by.
Yeah. So well, they'll either say, yeah, we'll drive up there or we won't. And then they'll have to, yeah, stuff would have to go down to 60s
And that
or
would have,
40s.
yeah, have to be an issue with whoever buys the lot.
Yeah.
To be something to be recognized.
Okay.
I would
Well-
move that we recommend approval for the subdivision.
Okay. Do I get a second?
Second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Move ahead.
Perfect.
With the conditions as noted, so, yeah.
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 Okay.
Want to include that as a condition that the garbage situation be determined or no? Will it not be worked out however?
Yeah,
There's-
there's the water and
The water that staff's
And the garbage.
noted.
If it's already noted in the.
Yeah, that's right.
we don't have to worry about what's in the staff report, but
It wouldn't change my decision whether Logan City drives their dump or there's garbage truck up there for me, but
okay.
Aaron, you note that if you want it in there.
I'd like to note that because I'd like to
Okay.
going in so that people know what they're facing when they go into that thing. It's not a surprise. They ought to know up front.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to, the one on the east is gonna have to wheel their garbage can down
So,
the,
so what are you asking for?
just so we know what.
Whether
what that
Logan City
decision-
will drive their
Yeah.
garbage truck up there or
if it's
not?
Wide enough for that
Easy
turnaround.
enough.
Mhm.
So that's my only
All right.
concern.
So contingent upon finding out whether Logan will drive.
Well, I don't think it's contingent. It's a communication.
It's not contingent as far as I'm concerned. I would like to just have that information brought back to us
Okay.
to know how that's going to be handled.
because that's going to be coming to the city of Logan or North Logan, I
Yeah.
should say.
Alan's gonna be
In
out
a
there with
year
his
or
little
two.
white truck picking it all up,
Yeah,
saving me some property tax.
good.
Okay, well, let's move on to item number 2. Updates to the city code regarding parking requirements. And I'm assuming with commercial and mixed use.
Yeah, so
Very-
this one we talked about last week. Basically, there's been one particular business moved in, medical office on 4th, just down the street, a lot of street parking. And it's gotten a lot of complaints off of it. And we just wanted to look at our code and make sure that our requirements would not allow something to be underparked like that in the future for that type of use. Building's not on the updated aerial here,
Right.
but if you've driven by 4th East, there's cars lined up on the road and whatnot. Some of it's compounded by contractors in there, still finishing out spaces. They're filling things out. So they've got big trucks and different things taking up a lot of spaces. And this, to be clear, isn't going to solve this particular problem, but it would be for the future. In those discussions, Planning Commission determined that it'd be good to dig into it and look at those numbers, look at kind of the parking statistics to decide if we need to change anything. As a note, our code for parking, when this was put in, got changed. And I think you were here, Jeff, when we changed the parking requirements earlier. That coincidentally, we didn't change it for this use. It was permitted but not built yet. So we didn't know there was a parking issue yet there. But we had actually changed the medical office use as part of all the other uses. Our previous code said you need 2 spaces per doctor or something. And there's not really a great way for us to verify at the time how many doctors. There's not really necessarily a
Yeah.
great way for them to say how many doctors. Our code now says 1 per every 250 square feet, which is a lot more black and white. So I evaluated that building based on the 250 square foot code. And this gives us an idea of how many parking spaces we're short. So what deficit we need to make up here for future enforcement and when we're working with this business. And for future buildings, how many more there'll be. So if we followed that code today, they would need 182 spaces. They have 141. So they're short almost 40 spaces. So yeah, the complaints and different things we've heard, it's founded. There's also a code, one per every 300 square feet. That was another standard for a similar use. So I included that in just for a reference. They'd still be short
And
on
where
that.
where did you get this data?
I counted the spaces. in
No,
the
yeah,
plan.
I know that, but no, where is the
Square
one
footage.
per 250 and one per 300? Is that
Yeah.
In
similar?
the code.
Those codes came from me going around looking at other parking code and using those as benchmarks.
Okay, so other, yeah, okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's not
This
our
is our
code.
code now.
of now.
Yeah, this is our code now. So we had changed it from the time that building got permitted, we had changed it. And
So
this is
we're
our
at
code now.
1 per 250.
So if this came in today, they
Okay.
would need 182 spaces
Yeah.
instead of the 141 that they provided.
Okay.
As a reference point, I went and looked at some other clinics that are similar. Similar number of stories, similar-ish square footage. It's tough to find exacts. Had a mix of doctors in them. Wasn't an urgent care, but just like a, similar. And this is where they sit. So this is very similar square footage. They have 168 spaces, so they wouldn't meet that 250. They do meet the 300. This one,
How old are these buildings?
most of these are pretty new.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Holiday one was a little older, but the other three are probably built in the last 5 years. This
Yeah.
Granger one was well under, and these square footage numbers came from the building permit listed. So the Granger one was under by a long ways. I'm not sure how that one got through necessarily, but West Valley City, they were well over the 250 and 300. Holiday well over. So from this, I don't think the 250 square feet we have now is overly restrictive. And I think, I don't think there's a need to make it more restrictive, at least from what I've seen at other clinics. And just looking at how, if we had 40 more spaces there, there wouldn't be an issue at all. So I personally, from staff's side, after digging into this, think we could stand put on where we are now because we've changed it. And then we'll just have to continue to work with the existing issue and maybe employee parking or something to help the current situation. But future projects, 1 per 250 probably will cover us. But I wanted to get planning commission's feedback on that.
What's the nature of the complaints? What's happening other than it's overflow,
Yeah.
obviously, but are they patients parking in residential
No.
spots, or
No.
they're just concerned about roadway? What's-
I've been past that a lot, and there's always on that roadway on 4th East, there's always cars parked all the way around from that, was it 2100 North? Clear around that circle and back up north. And I think it's not so much as it is patients going into there, but I think a lot of those on the roadway are the employees who are parking there because they can get into those back doors of that clinic and just go into their offices that way rather than having to go clear around in. It's just a quick in and out for them. I would like to see that whole thing in there red curbed so that they can't park there.
What's the width? Is there a traffic issue or is it just
So
aesthetics?
there are some issues, and those have actually been signed and are being watched and violations given. Anything within a certain distance of this roundabout is poor for visibility. Anything with a certain distance of this corner. So essentially and I think it's 100 feet from the corner, 100 feet from the corner. Those are all signed, no parking. We've been enforcing that. Our police force has been doing that, but there's still a gap in the middle with cars parking. And it is a little bit tight. It's
Yeah.
probably not the end of the world to have cars there. Legally, there's no reason we need to red curb it. But there are just a lot of cars just piled up. I think it makes people uncomfortable when they're driving because there's cars on the side of the road and the road's a little tighter, but we're enforcing where we can. And if we could work with them to say, hey, can your employees park? Can you get an agreement with somebody else? I know they had talked about looking at Maple Springs at one point, but I don't know if that's still on the table. I know they park on the road over here. We'll have to kind of work with them on it. And it would have been better if we just had the code that was more black and white in place, obviously.
So what's the nature of the complaints?
Visibility and safety is the main concerns. A lot of them come from people who live here adjacent, and they complain about visibility and safety. So I think
And
making
everything.
sure they're not within 100 feet of those corners is probably the biggest thing on that. So you can see when you get to intersections.
Going into that roundabout with those cars there, it does become a bit hazardous because you can't see down past the corners easily.
But it sounds like it's signed for 100 feet away from there,
Yeah.
that they shouldn't be parking within 100 feet of that roundabout.
And they're being ticketed, right?
Yeah.
It's being enforced.
They had some heavy enforcement to make sure, kind of if you hit it pretty consistently right at first, and throughout, it really helps. People see a ticket on somebody's windshield, they get a ticket one time and it helps quickly. So they hit it really hard, and then now they're continually watching it.
Is parking spilling into the villas? Is that what their concerns are?
I don't think it's spilling in here. Alan can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's spilling in there so much. It's just,
They can't go in there, that's the problem.
yeah. So it's just
Okay.
on the road there.
I was just wondering what their concerns were.
Yeah.
You know, the entrance to this thing is right there on that northwest corner of that building area. There's one entrance back in there. No
Yeah.
farther up, right where that roadway.
Yeah, there's an entrance
Oh,
there.
yeah.
and
Oh,
then
the
Right in
road
there.
entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another one down here on the
22
south
there.
end there.
Yeah.
So you can get in and out there. But even though I still would rather not have parking along that whole area because it narrows that road down quite a bit.
Yeah. And part of the issue is that this road is not completed all the way because this is undeveloped. So that's a new property owner there, I think, actually. So maybe that'll change, but at least that's not the one I remember seeing on this one. But yeah, this is undeveloped here, so it's a little bit tighter road. It's a half road. As soon as that's
Yeah, that's what
site
I
developed.
wondered, if that's part of the issue.
That
is we don't have a fully developed road.
Yeah, as soon as this is built up, I think that will help a bit. So it won't feel as tight, but yeah, we'll continue to enforce the corners where we can. And again, when all the construction moves out, they're still filling in tenant spaces in there. All the contractors are out, like that will free up some spaces as people have been to a few appointments. They know where the entrances into the parking are. They'll be able to get there. Because usually when you drive by, even when there's a lot of cars on the road, if you drive through the parking lot, there are spaces in there
Yeah.
typically.
Yeah, there
It's
are.
just people don't know to look, I think, yet. So hopefully it'll get a little bit better. And in the future, they'll have to have more parking spaces. So for other developments this type. And I just looked quickly through the table to see if there are any other kind of dubious, one per every two doctor sort of just not really concrete things. And I think we cleaned up all of those. The ones that are kind of up in the air, they're required to submit a plan that's reviewed by the engineer and meets certain parking requirements. If it's a use that can vary widely between parking needs. So I think we're protected the future. It's just unfortunate that this beat us out by a few months, I think.
So going forward, we have a problem now, and it met code, or at least when it was conditionally approved, and construction, when it was finally built, didn't quite measure up to what was the expectation. But you're comfortable with the 250 square foot criteria going forward?
Yeah, I am. And it will mean that, if they had to put 40 more spaces on this site, their building would have had to shrink a bit. And so it will be a little bit more restrictive for developers. But I think it will cover us to make sure there's enough parking in the future. I mean, one thing, looking at least at the other clinics, the only thing I thought as far as action would be potentially to move it to 300, but I'm comfortable at 250. And I think that'll protect us in the future. So.
So no action needed, just.
Just discussion.
Yeah, so this was
Okay.
just ended up being discussion. I won't bring a draft or anything to it if that's what the.
I'm
commission
comfortable with the 250 myself.
Yeah.
I think we show that, we're in line with what others are doing, and I don't know, until there's huge demand and we feel like we need to encourage more, you might look at the 300, but I'm comfortable with what we have.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question regarding that? I see as you're going along there, and I think it's Fourth East.
Mhm.
There's always a big semi park there. Do we have any kind of restriction on semis parking on city streets overnight?
Not overnight, as far as I know.
48 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours.
I'm not comfortable having semis parked on there at all, unless they're unloading or loading. But just to be parked there, I guess that's the same as a trailer though, isn't it? A house trailer or something like that. 48
Yeah, I got a
hours.
neighbor that ought to play too. Fortunately, he's not listening.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want me to write him a letter?
Oh, he's had letters written to him.
We can keep an eye out for it though. And if it's there for longer than 48 hours, we can give them a reminder to keep it at least moving. But a lot of times they'll just move it a little bit. And,
Yeah, they'll move it this way 10 feet or they'll
yeah.
take it around the block and park it again.
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
tough one to enforce that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that wraps up commission business, staff business discussion.
Yeah, so I've just got one basically events item to go over for the 24th, which is this coming weekend. Let me go into Alan's events file here. His very fancy file. Is it our boards and committee? Okay. Right there. Okay, so as far as the 24th, hopefully everybody will to make it to the parade. They've got the breakfast in the morning. Yeah, it's Pioneer Day. We've got other things coming up as well, but you got the breakfast in the morning. You've got the parade. The route is different. I think hopefully everybody saw notices and knows kind of the new modified route. That starts at 10. It's very well attended, so get your spots earlier than that. And then all the activities are going to be held at the park at Elkridge this year. So things are shaking up a little bit. If anybody asks you about it, make sure you let them know the updated locations. Yeah, Monday. So yep, that one's Monday. We've got a few other things coming up as well. So police night out's a big thing. They're dunking the mayor at the library closing social. So, oh, the burnout's tomorrow as well.
That's the only thing that really
Oh, I
matters.
missed that one.
What's
Burnout
that, the
tomorrow.
The
burnout?
burnout. Yeah, I'll be down there with my moped.
Burning out. And then the Freedom Festival is coming up as well. So yeah, there are a lot of things finishing up the summer. Pioneer Day, obviously, we've got the biggest attendance and festivities in the valley for Pioneer Day. So be sure you come out. Yeah.
Heard advertising on the radio for it, so.
Yep.
Through
We just had the
chamber, I think.
groundbreaking for the city office community center as well. I don't know if you saw that in the newspaper, but yeah, I had the groundbreaking there. We'll be working towards those two things, moving ahead. And that's
Pickleball court update.
it. Pickleball.
That's all that really matters.
Yeah, so they got the bathroom in.
Still on for fall? Can we finish fall?
Yeah. Just always fall.
23, 22, or 21?
We can't pin it down yet.
It does looking good, though.
But they're going on the paint, they'll put some concrete on the restroom pavilion later this year, early next year. They'll put on the other side of the restroom. Then we're just going to paint and surfacing.
Is the road going in now?
They'll put in the road with the park on.
Okay. And the parking lots where they've been scratching recently?
Yeah, it's right there.
I had someone ask me the other day if that was additional courts.
No.
And I said, no, Alan's cheap. Oh, yeah. They knew that too.
Where are the pickleball courts?
What?
Where are they?
Where
I
have you been,
don't,
Aaron?
I-
That's all that matters
I've
in the
been
city.
in La La Land, so,
Pickleball
They're down
courts
in
are
Emily's
everywhere.
neighborhood.
okay.
Hopefully that noise isn't too
Backyard.
much.
Yeah, there's the RSL indoor facility, the high school's up here, you've got the baseball fields, they're just right there, there's splash pad. So the road will
Okay.
connect through, and you'll pick.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll wrap up by the fall.
Oh, this year. Cool. No, that's great.
Yep.
And the
that's-
parking, I was excited to,
Yeah.
I assume that was parking there, but.
Yeah, yep, you got parking. It's gonna look similar to these,
Yeah.
something along the side there, and then the road will go through.
We'll have to go take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the paddle out. Aaron?
My son gave me a set for
Oh,
Christmas,
Well,
so
there
I'm
you go.
ready to
Now you
go.
can find your way down there. Cause you can't get on the other ones in the valley because they're packed.
Yeah, yeah, this will be needed.
There'll be a retinal scans. They're like, oh, North Logan citizen, come on in. They're like, oh,
Like, you
a North
know.
Logan citizen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not
Yeah,
to be
that's it as far as
confused with
staff
others.
business for me. I don't know if you have anything else, Alan, if I missed anything. Nothing else, staff business? We're good? Okay, yep, that's it.
Okay, any planning commission business? Any news, Dwight?
Nope, nothing.
Nothing. Boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron?
I don't have anything other than
Nothing.
when's our next meeting? Is that going to be on the
October.
October
Uh,
or August
October
4th.
4th, something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, wrong month. August 4th. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be my last meeting here. We'll have the next guy, hopefully, sitting in on it.
Oh, who
We
is
won't
it?
start till later. I don't know if it's all the way set yet, but we want to have it.
We said
overlaid.
guy, so I assumed that you knew.
That's, yeah, we'll have the next person here.
Oh, there you
at
go.
that one.
Okay. So it
I
isn't-
think they're getting it pretty much finalized. They've got somebody in. We may need to miss the next meeting after in August. We can talk about that in the next meeting, just because
Oh,
he'll
speaking
only
of
have been here for a little bit, or yeah. So if it's the candidate we're looking at. Yeah,
So we'll have one on the 4th and the 18th, is that,
we'll potentially skip
Sounds
it.
like the
the one on
18th, we're getting a break.
Yeah.
okay, good.
I don't
'cause
know.
won't be
We'll
here
have
on
to
the 18th,
discuss.
My
that. We
kids are
still
gonna have to go
it,
without
just you,
without
but
that
we'll
money,
have
though.
been here for a little bit.
'cause I'm going to be in Alaska on the 18th.
Oh, good for you.
Way to go.
Fishing? Yeah,
Mhm.
good time of year to go.
My niece has invited me up to go fishing.
Oh. What's that? Which one? Why?
So maybe you just take over if we have items.
Why? I think there should be some rezones. and Maybe Canyon Gates round 2. I don't know.
I'll submit some applications. It's worth it.
Okay.
How are we doing on water conservation?
Oh, yeah. Zach gave an update, or Jordan gave an update on that last night. Everything's down. Use is down about 20% from last year, and it was already down last year. So everything is looking pretty good. There was equipment is still running. It's getting a little tired by this time of year. It's
Yeah.
always the highest use right now. They had some booster pump issues and had to get that figured out quickly and turned around. So they sent out a notice that to have people not water up on the bench. It was just for one specific area. But we're able to get that figured out as well. So a lot of the big users cut back significantly. USU's down about 1.2 million gallons, I think, a month, right, from last year. Yeah, church is down. So
Has that new pump come on, a new well come online, or is it still out there?
no, it won't come on till next year.
Okay. I'll try to remember that.
Yep.
Till I get a
Great.
meeting.
Okay. Well, then let's adjourn.
I move, we adjourn.
I second that.
Let's do it. All right.
Aye.
Nice. Well done, Jim.
All right. Yeah, horse water.
that.